Professional dancing, regardless of the type, requires a lot of athleticism. And as you're about to see, dancers and athletes need the same kind of care when their work harms their bodies. Such form, such grace, and they make it look so easy. But professional dancers work very hard and are prone to serious injuries. Case in point, Pamela Swaney, principal dancer for the St. Louis Ballet. She returned to the stage in April of 2011 after surgery and months of rehabilitation for a torn anterior cruciate ligament, or ACL.
We were dancing Swan Lake at the Two Hill. I was dancing the part of the Black Swan, which is the principal role in that ballet, and it was my dress rehearsal. I came down from a big lift where basically I jump up in the air, the guy's holding me, and I turn and I landed incorrectly. My knee went one way, my foot went the other, and it was really strange. It felt like there was a braid inside of my knee and it was just unraveling. That's the best way I can describe the feeling. It was very, very bizarre, just like a braid unraveling, and I heard a ripping noise. Everybody on stage heard the pop. We immediately stopped, and I just knew, don't even try to walk right now. I knew something was terribly wrong. So, yeah, it was a very tough time in my career. I definitely thought it was over because I was in my mid-20s at the time, and I knew it was very bad, whatever I did.
Swaney's first step to recovery was surgery.
This is the diagram of the amazing knee, and I do agree.
Her operation was performed by orthopedic surgeon Dr. David King.
The ACL is represented by this that comes right in here. So it's a crossed ligament that sits right in the center of the knee. Dancers put a tremendous amount of force on the knee when they land, and even when they're planted and pivot, that they tend to have more motion through their joints than the average person, through the hip, through the ankle, through the knee, and some of that is what makes them great. It's what makes them have beautiful lines and be able to hold certain poses. Hyperextension of the knee is one of the risk factors that makes you at a higher risk to develop an ACL tear or one to occur. Well, a lot of dancers have some hyperextension in their knees.
This is a test to determine whether a patient has an ACL tear.
We are taking the knee and then adding the force and then bending it up. If the ACL is torn, you will actually have the tibia displaced when it's in this position, and then it slides back into position as you move forward. So this is probably, the pivot shift is the most sensitive test, an indicator of functioning of the ACL.
So we're gonna go ahead and see how the extension is today.
The best ACL reconstruction in the world wouldn't restore Pamela Swaney to her pre-injury condition without the right therapy. Enter athletic trainer Brian Lind.
When I first saw her, she was about 4.5, almost 5 months post-surgery. And she had had some struggles with therapy and then was sent to our office by Dr. King. And so there were a lot of things that we had to work on, getting fundamental motion, strength, and progressing through that. Come up onto your toes, onto point, and then walk down about 2 or 3 tables and back. She had progressed her motion and strength exercises and was doing very well, and we got to a point where I wanted to have her bring her shoes into therapy so that we work with her shoes to see specifically where some of her weaknesses are, limitations. Come all the way down, squat down as much as you can. And back up. You feel initially you're working the muscle here.
Yeah.
Lind has worked with a number of dancers who were still in school, but Swaney was his first professional ballerina. He said on her level, it was critically important she make a full recovery.
It definitely is a lot more challenging because you're progressing the exercises more than you would for maybe some other people. Also, in her case, specifically designing the exercises, activities, practice for the performances, dance, plie, going into point, positions that are quite difficult for the average person to do, and especially with anybody that has an injury and recovering from that.
Lind is a member of the National Athletic Trainers Association. The NATA held its June 2012 convention in St. Louis. Its theme, Every Body Needs an Athletic Trainer. One of the sessions addressed injury management and prevention for performing artists. Elaine Winslow Redmond is head athletic trainer for the Rockettes.
We cannot risk missing the opportunity to assist the performing athletes prior to injury. That's the ticket. In order to perform at a show, and I can tell you from experience, the level that you have to be at for every single show, every single day, is very high. It takes a ton of energy. And you've got to figure, a regular Broadway schedule is 8 shows a week. We're doing 35. We have 2 casts, and each cast is doing 17 shows a week. So they don't have much time for recovery. So what we do as athletic trainers, there's so much more that we do that you can't even imagine. Hydration, recovery is a big part of what we train them to do. Strength and conditioning, pre-season, just pre-screenings, everything. I mean, we incorporate every single bit of our athletic training profession in what we do for these performers.
In addition to the routine stretches all dancers do, Pamela Swaney does something extra for her rehabilitated right knee.
Basically, I use a heating pad to get my knee nice and warm, and then I prop it up on something, whether it's a foam roller or a yoga block, and then I put 10-pound weights on my femur, which I wouldn't suggest to anybody just sitting at home, but because I had the surgery, I built up a lot of scar tissue in my knee, and it gets really stiff, and I lost a lot of hyperextension as well. So that's what helps me get my knee straight again before I dance.
The amazing thing to me is that she still continues a year and a half, 2.5 years after therapy, working on some of her exercises and things that she needs to do to maintain that, because it is such a significant difference in being able to perform and having both legs being equal.
In December of 2012 at the Two Hill Performing Arts Center, Swaney was exquisite in the role of the Sugar Plum Fairy in the Christmas holiday favorite, The Nutcracker. As a result of her success with Brian Lind, the athletic trainer now works regularly with all the dancers of the St. Louis Ballet to help keep them in top condition.
The first thing I said is, I want to make sure we're on the same page and you guys understand you guys are professional athletes.
I just feel like he understood my needs as a dancer and as a patient coming back, and it really is a team, along with Dr. King, who did the surgery. I felt like they were my team to get me back on stage, which was really, really good.